December the 1st meeting of the Castle County Board of Commissioners. I would ask that you join us in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. All right, gentlemen, we have the consent agenda, which consists of tonight's meeting agenda, along with the open session minutes from our last meeting on November the 3rd. You all have received a copy of those minutes. Any corrections or additions? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 5, adjournment to organizational meeting. Do I have a motion? We adjourn to our organization.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Claggett. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, Mr. Whitaker.
It's going to do this. I didn't know if you wanted me to do it from here or from the
You're,
desk.
you're good.
Yeah.
Hey, microphone.
All right. So I'd like to call the annual organizational meeting to order. This is done each December for the purpose of making certain appointments. It's different in even years and odd years. So for odd years, the meeting is called to order with primary purpose of electing the board chair and board vice chair. And I've given in the packet some rules as to how that is done directly from our rules of procedure. And specifically, I'll read one rule, Rule 5, election of the chair. To set this up, the chair of the board shall be elected annually for a term of 1 year and shall not be removed from the office of chair unless he or she becomes disqualified to serve as a member of the board. And my role will be just to get us through the election of the chair. As soon as this board's appointed a chair, we'll turn it over to the vice chair, or to the chair rather, to select the vice chair through the process of the board. And the way we'll do this, and again, this goes directly to our rules of procedure, which allows for consideration of one motion at a time. So when I open that up, I request a motion, ask if there are any motions. A motion can be made. We'll wait for a second as we normally would. Any debate that you may want, and then I'll call for a vote. And if that person does not receive the majority, we'll ask for a second motion and we'll move along till a chair is elected. So with that said, first order of business, and this is item 6B, are there any motions for the board chairman for the calendar year 2026?
Yes, I make the motion of Commissioner Yarborough as our chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Ingram has made a motion. Do we have a second for that motion? So is that Commissioner Smith? Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Yarborough becoming the chair of the board again, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carried. With that said, I'll turn the meeting back over to Chairman Yarborough.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Floor is now open for motion concerning vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to nominate Frank Rose as vice chair.
Commissioner Rose has nominated Frank Rose. Commissioner Smith has nominated Frank Rose. Sorry. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. I do have a motion that we adjourn the organizational meeting and return to our regular meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We now sit in regular session. All right, announcements and recognitions. I'll start with you, Commissioner Claggett,
I don't have it.
Commissioner Ingram,
None, sir.
Commissioner Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd just like to thank everybody for being out tonight. Also, would like to recognize, and I will not mention names because I know I will miss somebody, but I'd just like to recognize all the ones that were involved in putting up the Christmas lights this year. They did an outstanding job, and I look forward to that tree lighting ceremony when it happens. And I also have been told that they're going to have the ice skate running back this year, which will be a huge thing. I think it was shut down when COVID hit, and glad to bringing it back. And I just invite everybody to come out and participate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to congratulate the Caswell County Schools on being awarded $18.8 million to completely renovate Oakwood School. Those funds came from the North Carolina Lottery.
Commissioner Totten,
I'm good.
Commissioner Holt.
No.
All right, public comments. Do we have anybody, Mr. Whitaker?
We have one person signed up, Ms. Shannon Moretz.
Good evening. You guys know me, Shannon Moritz from Cherry Grove, and I come bringing what I hope will be a gift. Many of you know I used to be Caswell's newspaper lady. Caswell desperately needs their newspaper lady back. And so I have resigned my full-time job, and starting in January, I will be launching a new news outlet in Caswell County at caswell.news. So y'all will see me a lot more in the meetings. I'll be asking a lot more questions. And I hope you know that I will continue to be a woman of my word. I will be accurate. I will be fair. That's about the most I can promise you, though. And so thank y'all for serving. Don't forget, filing is open. I hope that some of you, all of you, will be refiling for your seats. And if not, I hope there's somebody good that's going to come in and take your place. Thank y'all for serving.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the only individual we have?
That's all we have.
All right, in your packet, you should have received the economic development update from Economic Development Ken Bowman. Any questions, comments concerning his report? All right. And now are scheduled to have a public hearing concerning major and minor subdivision amendments. We'll have a motion. We'll go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Claggett,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're now set in public hearing. Mr. Wallington, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Manager, Attorney Johnston. Tonight, I come to you on behalf of the Caswell County Planning Board. with a recommendation to amend the subdivision ordinance found in the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 9, Part 5. North Carolina General Statute 160D 604D requires that the planning board review all amendments for consistency with an adopted long-range plan such as our comprehensive plan and provide a written recommendation along with a plan consistency statement. In your packet, I provided the subdivision ordinance and added all of the additional language for amendments that you see in red. For better understanding, I have prepared a summary sheet that has been passed out to you. Earlier this year, the planning board began discussion and research due to concern with how residential development was being carved out in particular areas of our county. With the residential development boom lurking, planning board feels that the current regulations are not structured enough to combat certain residential development schemes that are slowly beginning to show up in Caswell County. Let's show slide 1 and 2, please. Current slide is a GIS photo.
You tell me which slide we're.
All right, the first slide. There we go. There we go. This is a GIS photo taken in Alamance County. So the board is recommending to try to structure our subdivision ordinance in order to prohibit this type of high density road front development. So as you can see, slide 2. We have 30 road front lots within a half a mile, which also means 30 driveways at a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. 30 wells within this small area. And note all interior land, note that there's no interior land that is subdivided into parcels less than 10 acres. Can we go back to that slide, please? So as you can see, everything for an acre is along the road front. And then as they go into the interior, they break it up into 10-acre tracts. One of the reasons for these 10-acre tracts is because they are exempt. The state recognizes a 10-acre plus tract as an exempt. Therefore, they're exempt from private road structure, exempt from pretty much the entire subdivision ordinance. That's nothing we'll ever get around. But as you'll see, one of our focuses is to try to push some of this development interior versus lining our highways with small multiple lots within a half a mile to a mile. So through research on both Harnett County and Moore County in North Carolina, the planning board has found regulations that they felt would be beneficial to Caswell County and add structure to the ordinance that we have now. So if you look at your worksheet in front of you, I broke out what a minor subdivision is currently in our Unified Development Ordinance. And I'll go over these even though they're before you so our public can better understand. But our minor subdivision is 0 to 6 lots. Within that minor subdivision is broken up into 3 classes: a class 1, 0 to 2 lots, a class 2, 0 to 6 lots for family, and then class 3 is the 0 to 6 lots, which one would subdivide to sale or transfer. The planning board's recommendation is to remove these classes for a minor subdivision. If you go to the right side of your page at proposed, it will still be defined as 0 to 6 lots. However, only 4 of these 6 can be created on a state maintained road. The other 2 must go interior and be accessed by a new or existing private road. So the 0 to 6 can be created over multiple years, but the 0 to 6 will be noted as a minor subdivision. Once the 6th lot is created, one must wait 3 years to create additional lots. So this is the proposal. Any new lot greater than 6 will be a major subdivision. Our current UDO has 7+ lots as a major subdivision. So again, we are not changing the number of lots. For the new proposed major subdivision, 7 or more lots. Again, only 4 of those 7 can be created on a state-maintained road. If someone were to come to us and say, I want to create 10 lots, they could create 4 on the state-maintained road and 6 interior off of a private road. By removing the amount of lots that one can place on a state-maintained road, the planning board would like to add additional lots down a private road. Currently, we allow 9 lots to go on a private road without it being paved. The proposal is to increase that to 15 lots. So we take away on the state road, however, we are giving back on the private road. This in turn could help to create more community. The 3-year rule. If an owner of land completes a 6-lot subdivision, which is a minor subdivision, any other subdivisions of land on that parent tract will have to wait 3 years before they can do it again. So if I were to create 6 lots, then I would be complete with my subdivision for my parcel. In 3 more years, I can go back in and create 4 more road front lots and another minor subdivision. This is, again, used by Harnett County, but it's to deter a broad development, usually from developers versus private landowners. There is a family exemption. Caswell County has always looked after large landowners in the past. And so this family exemption would allow the landowner, if he decided or needed more lots in the future and had already done his 6, to come to the planning board and petition for us another minor subdivision within that 3-year period. So it will go on to read individual, corporation, partnership, or other entity who owns, leases, has option on, held any legal interest in, or subsequent owner of the parent tract must wait 3 years to create a minor subdivision within 500 feet from the original parent tract. So I do have a few more slides to show you that will show you more of what I'm speaking of. But if we had someone to come in and develop 4 road front lots and they own 2 parcels side by side, they could create those 4 road front lots, go right next door to their next parcel and create another 4. So they would have a consistent 8 lots in a row along the state maintained road front. This would prohibit them and drive them 500 feet further before they can create those 4 road front lots. It is to try to help maintain some of our rural character off of these state roads. Can we go to next slide, please? So this is This is a development in Cherry Grove that I wanted to show you. You can go to the next one. This was all farmland at one time. And the developer, and he did go in and develop a lot of state maintained roads, but I wanted to show you this next slide on how they did create lots and go interior of the property. We can go to the next one. So this shows you how even though they divided the state road lots, they went interior of the property and created a development there. So this lessens the impacts on our state roads with driveways and helps to maintain safety. We go to the next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about flag lots, and if you will go to your back page, some other proposed changes. Down at the bottom, it speaks of flag lots. This area, which is again in Cherry Grove, has 2 flag lots created. So this was a simple way to take a small area of land and create up to 5 lots. Can you go to the next slide, please? This is the aerial photograph, and you'll see the 3 road front lots and recognize that in order to achieve the back lots, it would be tough. So they created the flag. Next slide, please. So the dark green and the lighter green show you exactly what a flag lot is. It is simply, and it is defined as flag poles and the flag portion of the lot. Next slide, please. Right now, our minimum lot is 1 acre to build on. We have a 125-foot building line. So this means in order for a house to go on a lot, it has to have a 125-foot width, as you see there. And then at the road front, our minimum is 50. Another proposal within this subdivision ordinance will be to increase that road front width to 75 feet, as you see there. Next slide, please. This is an example of the 4 road front lots along with a private road that will allow other lots to be developed. The flag lot is allowed if extenuating circumstances exist. So a flag lot shall serve only 1 single family dwelling. Flag lots shall only be approved when particular extenuating circumstances make traditional lot design a struggle. There shall be no more than 1 flag lot within 300 foot of another flag lot. A flag lot cannot be subdivided, and a flag lot will count towards one of those 4 lots if it is coming off of the state road. Next slide, please. This is the 6 lots that is created that we currently are allowing. The private road, as you can see, accesses more lots in the interior. However, this with the proposal will be prohibited. Next slide, please. This is using lot 3, the flag lot, as a 4th state maintained road lot. So in our proposal, this will be prohibited. Next slide, please. Now, as I spoke about the 500-foot distance. So this is an example of a property which I said is owned by John, and then a second property that John sold to James. John sold tract 2 to James, neither John nor James can create another minor subdivision for 3 years on land within 500 feet. So if John developed 4 state road lots and then went over and sold to James, then James would have to move 500 foot down. Next slide. So as part of this process, the planning board does have to write a letter of recommendation. Before I read a portion of that, are there any questions from the board?
Let's, Scott, can you back up to that final slide? All right, yeah, that's the one. The 500-foot rule. Jason, I get what you're saying about if one owner sold the adjacent property to someone else. He had subdivided part of his original parent tract into 6 lots. You have there on the left. Okay, but he sold some remaining acreage to, I believe you call it James. James has got to move down the road 500 feet.
Right.
Okay, but if John owned that where the 6 lots are and someone else owned adjacent to it that was not part of the original parent tract,
Correct.
he could still do a minor subdivision that butts up against the first one. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. The wording is subsequent, a subsequent owner. So James is the next owner of land that was owned by John.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
I know that you've spoken about parent tract several times. How far back are you going to determine what is the parent tract?
Right.
Do you get what I'm asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if I would like to mention this also, a 10-acre tract, again, will be exempt. So anything 10 acres or greater is exempt per state general statute. So the struggle with this 3-year ruling is going to be having to track subdivision back that far. If John sells land and subdivides it, say he subdivides one 10-acre tract and 4 or 5 smaller tracts, that 10-acre tract can be subdivided. So it will have to wait 3 years because that 10-acre tract within that parent parcel had a subsequent owner. So if you start with your original parent tract, you subdivide that out. If it is more subdividable land with a new owner within that parent tract, it would have to wait 3 years to be subdivided.
But what I'm asking you is, say John's father owned 500 acres.
Okay.
Just pull a number out.
Okay.
He left each of his 5 children 100 acres, equally divided, had equal road frontage.
Mhm.
This was, say, 50 years ago.
Okay.
Are you going back that far to say the 500 was the original parent tract, or does each 100 acres stand on its own as a parent tract?
It is no way we could travel back.
That's what I'm just getting to.
Yes, sir.
You
I
can
completely
only go
understand.
back and call a tract a parent tract
Right.
for so long.
Right. We would have to, like a lot of other ordinances, set that adoption to that ordinance in effect, and that would have to stand as our adopted date.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Jason, you, on a minor subdivision, you can only have 4 state road, front lots. Does the size of the lots come into play? Let's say they're 5 acres apiece.
Are we still limited to 4?
Correct. Unless, once you get to 10.01, you are then exempt. Yes, sir.
Jason, why is this not just complete zoning? I mean, I remember a few elections back and it got ugly and this
Oh, yeah.
county voted against zoning.
Right,
To me, this is zoning
right.
and it's hurting farmers. It's gonna help big developers that want to come in and put in big developments. And the farmer can't sell some of his land if he needs to out there on the road front.
Mhm.
This is zoning to me. I'm sorry. Anybody votes for it, the election's coming up, you're voting for zoning.
You know, you can, 4 counties without zoning, you do have to have certain structure within your ordinances. Otherwise, it would be a free-for-all for anybody to come in and develop. We've seen it. We saw it in that Alamance County slide there, to where I am for the farmer in preserving. I born and raised 51 years in Caswell County. My grandfather was a farmer. I'm seeing a lot of farms now that are being deeded to the younger generation. The younger generation has no clue what to do with it. And it's not their fault, but they are selling it out for development. We have developers coming in, buying up as much land as they can. Kudos to the developer because they get more land for roadfront lots. I completely understand. But it's going to be tightening our ordinances just a little bit to determine how we want our land use plan to look in the future, or our Caswell County farmland that's out there now. So I can see the pro and the con. I can see the benefit to the farmer. I can see the con to the farmer, allowing this to continue to happen. But I respect that. Respect that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what's the primary driver for this change? Is it safety? Is it beautification, or?
Safety and density would be the two that the board has discussed. We're finding a lot of small lots being created along, like I said, the small lots, the driveways, and just our density. We're trying to push in the interior of the land to create more community. So
Well,
both of those were high on the.
as far as safety, I mean, if you got 10 roadfront lots, and then in one case, in the other case, you've got a cul-de-sac with 10 houses, you still got 10 people turning into the driveway.
Right. You've got going, you go from 20 at the state road to 10. Because if you got 10 across the front and then you got 10 in the back, they're on that private road. Private road's a lot safer than a 55, 60 mile an hour state maintained road.
But those 10 have to come out somewhere.
They do.
So it's still like Tony's saying.
Right. Understand it that way. Right. Exactly.
Any more questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Jason, through looking at all this stuff, and I do understand what you're saying about, putting a private road and all that in, and if it's over so many, it has to be paved. Did the planning board look at anything as far as any type of upkeep on these roads? And the reason I'm saying, if you go to certain areas of this county where these developments are back off the road and they have that access road going in, they are all 2 pieces.
Right.
They're not kept up. They're not maintained. And what happens is, I've heard several of them say, well, everybody on that road is responsible for chipping in. Well, if John Doe and Jane Doe say, well, we're not going to contribute, nothing gets done to
Right.
them. So did they look at any of that as far as that type stuff when on these interiors?
Right. So in the past, as we all know, there are tons of private or farm roads, or even I've seen golf cart path on actual surveys done. There's so many in Caswell County due to it being so rural over the years that it has never been required to upgrade. I have had two in the last 2 years, new private roads. So with these roads, and neither of the two have been developed yet, I would have to go out and measure. Our last planning director did do a couple of those. And at the beginning, the developer is responsible for that road, making sure the width of that road is correct during the time he builds the houses. Once all the lots are sold, and there is a road maintenance certificate that goes on all plats, and it basically allows the developer out and the homeowners or lot owners to create a small association for road maintenance. It is there. It is a legal certification on the plat. However, the homeowners never do. But it is, again, it's hard for us through code enforcement to go out and tell somebody they've got to spend $2,000 on gravel. We don't really have enough teeth to stand behind that.
And getting back to that 500 acres that the chairman brought up, is that kind of going to be a little bit, it's going to hinder a lot of what the property owners are going to be able to do with that 500 acres in between, correct?
The 500 feet.
500 feet, excuse me.
Right. Well, they would just have to wait. It would be a waiting period of 3 years.
A waiting period for 3 years before establishing the other.
Before they could develop another minor
But
subdivision.
what about the 500 feet in between?
That could be developed, but after the 3-year period. So we were going off based on when the parent tract subdivision was recorded at the Register of Deeds. So January 1st of 2025. James buys this lot January 2nd, next door to John. James would wait 3 years from the time it was recorded in order to be able to develop that 500-foot portion of his property.
What was the reasoning behind waiting to 3 years?
That was research done on other counties. The planning board wanted to see something that was being done versus trying to develop their own scheme, and it'd have to go through a lot of legal counsel to even make sure it was legit. And
Right, I understand you said that was taken from Hornet, but what was Hornet's decision on why waiting 3 years?
Hornet had a 1,500 foot instead of 5. Planning board felt that 1,500 was too much. Basically to deter that quick subdivision of road front lots. It made them have to wait and think about things a little bit more, come up with other alternatives. That was pretty much verbatim what I got out of Harnett County.
Mr. Chair, Jason, has anybody done an economic development impact study to see how this is going to affect expansion in the county? You know, we're a declining population in this county. We need people to be enrolling in schools. We're losing enrollment there. And certainly we need tax dollars. So I think that's something we need to study as well.
Any more questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I have one question. Jason, the 10 acres, if you have 10 acres, you said you would be exempt from
From the subdivision rules. Yes,
from
sir.
those rules.
Yes, sir. With that 10-acre parcel.
So at 10 acres, you can pretty much.
I guess the only real benefit for being exempt with 10 acres would be road regulations and
Gotcha.
particular types of easements for your property.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a clarifying question and tie this to an upcoming project
Yes, sir.
quickly? So you recently asked when we were talking about our comprehensive plan that will have this land use plan component to it. The question was asked by the board as to the benefits of this. So if you take the image on the screen that Jason first described, and again, the steering committee is about to get started tomorrow, actually, on the comprehensive plan project. If, for instance, the comprehensive plan recommendations ultimately contained something to this effect as an objective, we talk a lot about our rural nature and maintaining that rural nature. And we really care about what people see, or we'll call it the view shed along our major corridors. Let's say that's a 150 or a 158, that example. If that was the outcome of the comprehensive plan, the planning board's job would be to consider that in relation to development regulations like this. So Jason, my question for you is, you said you had the question about the motivation for this, and it's, you said largely it's to eliminate so many turns in close proximity along these arteries, correct?
Right.
And another way of looking at that is from a land use perspective and the comprehensive plan perspective is, what's that view shed look like? So the development that you have on the screen, let's go 10 years down the road, and let's say we have a lot of that. We don't do anything and we have a lot of that. Aside from that public safety component, that development looks very different than what the planning board is recommending and proposing with these changes. It also changes the size of these lots and the density of them along the roadway. And was that a part of their, specifically the view shed, what this looks like around along major arteries? Was that a part of their discussion, or was it solely based on
No,
that safety?
definitely. It was definitely small lots, which, we can allow, our minimum is 1 acre now. That's a small lot. And so 1 acre lots, the board's not trying to eliminate 1 acre lots. We're just trying to control the density of lots. So we don't have this on Highway 86, 62, 119. Yep. And again, this is something that we will be taking a hard look at in our upcoming comprehensive land use plan. And also getting community feedback, which I hope is big.
One clarification I need, Jason, on your proposed minor subdivision.
Okay.
About halfway down the list, you have listed there, it says, once the 6th lot is created. Are you referring to once the 6th lot has been sold, or what is?
Once it is created and recorded with the Register of Deeds. So the planning board wants to allow 6 lots if it takes 5 years to develop 6 lots on that property. You may develop 2 lots this year. Next year, you have a family member, or you may want to sell a lot. You want to develop a third lot. You do that. You technically have 3 more lots that you can develop before that 3-year period kicks in.
Okay, so a developer can do a minor subdivision with 6 lots. Once he gets that 6th lot deeded to someone, this 3-year period starts at that time.
Once it is recorded.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that doesn't have anything to do with when construction begins or is completed. It's once the deed has been recorded for that
Right.
final lot.
Correct. And again, I'll reiterate, the planning board does not want to keep residential out of the county. The planning board's goal is to try to have a little more structure. We're scared. We don't know there is going to be a boom. We're being pushed from all sides. We do not have the infrastructure right now to support a lot of commercial. So the last thing we want to do is to hold residential back as far as property taxes are concerned.
Let me throw this scenario out to you.
Okay.
I know looking at the original slide out of Alamance, lots were relatively long and narrow. I don't know what the dimensions are, but they were fairly narrow and fairly long. And I know you get more road front lots with that scenario. Well, what if you went to a scenario where you required a 200-foot by 200-foot, which is not exactly an acre, but for tonight's discussion, we'll just call that a square acre. You would have less road front lots in that same distance compared to that. Has that been talked about? And I know you talk about increasing them from 50 to 75, but 75 is still a narrow lot.
Right.
Now,
75 is a narrow lot. There are a lot of counties that have 100-foot minimum width at the lot. We started with lot size and felt that it was not in the best interest of the county to increase the minimum lot size. The board then moved to driveway distances. Driveway distances were tough because for example, if we had lots like I showed you, the driveway would have to be on the opposite as you go down. But with environmental health and perk sites, you may have a septic field on the right side of your property and the county's calling for it to have to be a driveway. It'd make things difficult doing it that way. So that is another alternative, is increasing that road width distance. Definitely.
any other questions from the board? This is a public hearing, so if any members of the public would like to speak regarding these proposed changes, I'd ask that you come forward. Mr. Oakley.
And sir, when you get to the mic, if you could please state your name for the record.
Name is Scott Oakley, 1425 Baines Road, also on the planning board. I wanted to add, Jason's done an excellent job of presenting this, but just from the standpoint of safety, this is really not about how many cars are going in and out of a driveway or a consolidated road. The safety aspect of this comes in when you have school buses and garbage trucks and the mail delivery person stopping every 100 feet on a road that's a mile long. That's where the safety is, right? If you put some of these roads interior, then that traffic gets, consolidated into one location. So I just wanted to add that piece from a safety standpoint. Unless you think of it that way, you can lose the fact that, there is increased safety by doing this, right? And into the last question about lot width, that certainly is one of the possibilities. And, like Jason said, one of the things we looked at was, could we, put together a proposal, and we actually did put together a proposal based on driveway spacing, which basically comes down to the same thing of increasing lot size. But there didn't seem to be, although there are lots of state regulations and state recommendations, and this certainly increases safety, and you also look at the what's my visibility, because a driveway is right in a curve, which is also a terrible situation to have, which we have that all over the county as well. But, these are all aspects that you need to look at. But, I think in the end, what is being presented is what the board came up with in terms of a proposal that everyone was, agreeable on. So anyway, thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Mr. Chair, I
Yes, sir.
would like to read my consistency statement before we close
Yes, sir.
public hearing. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160D, the Caswell County Planning Board finds the attached amendment to the subdivision ordinance to be consistent with the Caswell County Comprehensive Plan because it seeks to encourage regulations that assure the health and safety of Caswell citizens. Furthermore, these amendments will regulate residential land use by providing more structure for the subdivision of land and will help to encourage community development. The amendments will continue to allow residential development while preserving the rural character of Caswell County. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Do I have a motion? We go back into regular session. Close the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith. I have a second. Second from Commissioner Rhodes. Any discussion? All those in favor of returning to regular session, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Now sit in regular session. And gentlemen, in reference to our public hearing, I don't think anyone probably wants to take action tonight. This is something you need to think about, talk about with your constituents. And we'll move forward on this at the appropriate time. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Whitaker, item 12, the budget calendar.
So you're used to seeing a budget calendar. Budget calendar is really important for organization, especially for a county. So it's going to guide our process, and as proposed, what you have in your packet, it clearly dictates times, dates, locations, who's the lead at each one of those steps, and of the specific events or budget actions. And this proposed calendar meets the requirements, the budgetary requirements that are before us statutorily. And another component of it is something we've talked about recently that was really a action or objective out of last winter's retreat, which was development of a capital improvement plan or a CIP. And what this proposed calendar does is it incorporates the development of that into the budget for the FY27 budget development. And then it gives a little margin to adopt that sometime shortly after. So the idea there is that we go into this budget process and work through the budget. Of course, a critical part of that is on the capital side is that first year, that if it's a 5-year CIP, is that year one set of projects and cost. And with this proposal, the plan and schedule incorporates that into the process, the budget gets adopted in June. And then staff and the board have a little bit of break to focus on those years 2 through 5 with a planned adoption of that in September. But that's just kind of a side note but a very important one as far as objectives of this board in terms of development of a CIP. And we've put a lot of thought into the dates as far as the timing and schedule. This is a process, an approximate or parallel type of timeline that has worked really well for me in the past as far as hearings, budget meetings, adoption, presentation of the meeting, or the actual budget rather. And it, I think, does several things well. It engages the public. It gives them clear opportunities to provide input. It provides a draft budget very early on in April, so there's something solid from numerical standpoint to be forming some opinions about projects. That gives this board fair opportunity to work through, as it did at least last year, with department heads, ask questions of them. And it culminates into a presentation in late May, which is a statutory requirement. Within the short time period after that, the hearing is in June, which is where, by that point, which you would hope to have a budget that was substantially finished by that presentation. So if you compare that to this past year's budget development process, has a lot of similarities. What took some time, if you'll remember, with that budget was receiving the school's request later than we had wanted, and there was a lot of regrouping, assessing their capital projects and needs, assessing the supplements. This year, we would have a firm deadline that the school system would stick with. So we would have those capital needs and issues worked out sooner than we did this past year. And be glad to answer any questions about dates, times, process.
Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Scott, what type of projects would fall under the CIP? Is it based on useful life of the improvement, or we're talking about like paving, talking about elevators, talking about structures?
Yeah, the part of that, part of any CIP, and the way I would envision that is separate from the final budget deliverable. You'd have a separate 5-year CIP with a narrative that described exactly what you're asking. It made those critical distinctions about exactly what is a capital project for Caswell County purposes. So that would be defined in that final document. But of course, to get us through year one and the budget process, we'd have to define that clearly up front. And we have some of that already defined, but needs a little fine tuning before we would present it to you, but definitely would be defined during this process so we could make sure that year one was accurate and we were on the right track to finish years 2 through 5.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No one has any questions. Is it appropriate to go ahead and approve this calendar tonight? Everybody happy with the calendar? We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the budget calendar as presented, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Was opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is the commissioners' meetings and the county holiday calendar. Scott.
So as part of our notice requirements and planning, we traditionally adopt the calendar year Board of Commissioner meetings along with the holidays calendar. So what you have proposed is self-explanatory and just included that to be clear with dates, day of the week to help you plan with your calendars. And I think clarity with the holiday schedule. And this is nothing out of the norm from what you normally see. And as far as the holiday schedule, that matches the state holiday schedule.
Any questions? Do I have a motion? We approve the holiday schedule along with the Board of Commissioners meetings for 2026.
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Claggett,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Budget amendment number 13, Enbridge.
So to set this up, if you remember with Enbridge, we ultimately negotiated a deal with them in reference to the pipeline project, their T15 reliability project. Part of that negotiation resulted in Enbridge's payment to the county $75,000 for different easements. Some of those are permanent easements, some are temporary construction. And in addition to that, we knew that it was going to require some gate improvements at the landfill. And we had estimated a total of $27,420 for that work. And those two amounts together totaled the $102,420 check that we ultimately received from Enbridge. In finishing the work, those expenses on the gate were more expensive. We underestimated the electrical involved, and there were some other challenges on that gate project. It ultimately cost that $36,045 and 8 cents amount that you have in your packet. And you have in your packet the proposed budget amendment, and some of that has been reconsidered. And I think at your desk, each of you should have had a separate budget number 13 handout. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so that is, again, not what's in the packet, but what you have handed out that shows a total there on the expenditure side of the $61,045.08, and be glad to talk you through the actual budget amendment itself. And we have our finance officer here to do that if you have specific questions about it.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the 8625 for the additional electrical is quite a bit of difference that was not anticipated. Is that something that we could talk with Enbridge about, since it's for the gate that they're needing? Is that something I found to be very cooperative? So should we have a conversation?
They were very cooperative and they were very agreeable originally. That number, back to your cover sheet, originally our contractor's gate quote was $24,420. We estimated $3,000 for the needed electrical work, the hookups, getting the power to the gates. And honestly, we just grossly underestimated that. That was part of that difference. Another part was, and do we have our solid waste director here this evening? There he is. AJ, if you could explain, we had a little bump up with some of our construction, some things that I would say your question was on us and not on them. So I did not go back and ask them for more money, but AJ, if you could explain how we went over on that gate project.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. So originally we estimated $3,000 before getting an estimate from the electrician by talking to them. Once we met with the fence people and I met with the electrician on site, it was determined best due to the voltage that would be required to run the gates and long-term use that we need to run what they call a trailer wire electrical wire from the panel at the compactor to both gates and set sub panels. So that's what we did. We did the digging with their supervision, and that's where you'll see the equipment rental come in. They estimated if they would have done it, would have been about 10,000. We did all the work, rented the piece of equipment, and then the wire was close to $3,000 just for the wire, because we run 1,000 feet of wire on the, I guess you would call it 001, but it's called trailer house wire. So we have sub panels at both gates. So that's why we went over. Originally, we were going to run the power from our storage building, just run a single wire and run it from our sump pump. But after talking to the gate people and with the electrician on site, it was determined that would not be a long-term use. We would be repairing it. So we went the route that would last the longest and be the best use of the property.
What's the gate installation pole repair? That's $630.
Okay, so I'll be straightforward and honest. They planted the poles, and when we were digging anything, we bumped one of the poles with our piece of equipment. So I called them and let them know. And decide on the side of caution, they came back, we assisted them, we dug the pole back out, replanted the pole in more concrete because I didn't want my gate to fall off a month, 2 months, or a year down the road. So that's $630. I'm more than happy to eat that part if that's what you wish. That was on us. We bumped a pole.
I was just curious.
That's exactly
When
what.
it said repair, I knew something had been hit, at least.
Yeah, we bumped it with the Mini. It was just an accident.
Any other questions?
But I just wanted to err on the side of caution to have them come back.
I believe, Scott, that when we first talked about this and you gave the $3,000 estimate on electrical, I kind of questioned if that was going to be enough. Memory serves me right, because electrical can get extremely expensive really quick.
And if you, not to interrupt you, if you look back in the breakdown, there's an extra $300 from the electrical company. That was a miscommunications. I had to have them come back out and wire from where they set the panels. We had them boxes. We had to wire into the actual gate controls. The electrician had to put the wire. That's where it's 2 separate bills for the electrician on there, sir. So you understand.
That's the $347.
Yes, sir. Not 3,000. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? So if I'm reading my numbers right, Mr. Whitaker, out of the $2,420, still have $66,375. Am I right? Mr. Finance Man, I see you shaking your head.
Correct.
Okay. Don't have 75, but we have 66,375. All right. Any other questions?
And I have copies of the invoice if y'all want to see them or anything.
Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner England. Any discussion? Hearing none, need to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Final financing resolution for the UHF system and the ambulances.
So this is a continuation of what we covered in detail at the last meeting rather. And we have Ty Smith and Emily Jessup here to present this evening. And again, it's the same details that we covered to begin with. But if you have any questions, if you'll remember at the last meeting and before that, we discussed the critical nature of getting this approved this evening, along with the other 2 items, the contract and the enterprise lease, so that we can move forward with the application that was filed just today with the LGC, so that January 6th LGC meeting will stay on track. So this These next three items are the next steps in making sure that happens, and they are here to answer any questions for you.
And these three items will require three separate motions, correct?
Yes, I believe it would be most appropriate to have a separate motion for each item.
All right. Okay, concerning the final financing resolution. Any questions, gentlemen, that these folks can answer for you? If you don't already have, Mr. Claggett.
I have a couple of comments. None of this was previously budgeted. And originally, no purchase order was created. How does this happen? The minutes from previous discussion regarding this hasn't been approved, affording the public the opportunity to review. There were items 9, 10, and 14 on public agenda from November 17th, 2025, as well as item 10 from November 3rd, 2025 that was just approved earlier this evening. The new ambulance is already placed into service and paid for. I'm all for public safety and well-being, just not the sleight of hand concerning public funds that are restricted by state. In essence, isn't this borrowing money from ourselves and paying it back with interest to someone else? The public hasn't been given the opportunity to understand how, if this UHF system will improve their safety. Will this system take care of the existing communication dead spots in the county? I think not. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. You have before you the final financing resolution for the financing of the UHF system, the new ambulance, and the ambulance remount. Am I covering all three bases correctly? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the final financing resolution?
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Have a second from Commissioner Ingram. All right, discussion. Questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the final finance resolution for the UHF system, the new ambulance, and the ambulance remount, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-2. Okay, item 16, First National Bank of Pennsylvania contract.
So again, this is an item that was discussed in detail and presented at the last meeting. One of the key differences is at the time, First National Bank had not made any edits to the contract. So you were given I would say a contract that was substantively complete, but still had not had the bank review. And so as part of that discussion at the last meeting, a commissioner asked that your packet include a redlined or marked up draft. That is included in your packet along with the final version as was approved on the bank's end. And be glad to answer any questions as we have our attorney, Emily Jessup, here for that.
Questions? Ms. Jessup, I take it that you've reviewed this contract fully and the county is safe by going with this contract with First National Bank of Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir. It's a contract that we use with a lot of our clients doing this kind of work. So we feel comfortable recommending the county approve it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I do have one question. We're basically looking at 10 years to pay the debt back, but we've got irregular payments. Why? I know there'd be more starting out the first few years because of the items that would expend themselves. But then it goes down, then at the last few years, it goes back up again.
Let me get to the finance guy.
Thank you. Good question. So for the financing, the debt service on it, there's the three components, the three different projects. The ambulance and the UHF system are amortized over a 10-year period. And then the remount portion of the ambulance, that's amortized over a 5-year portion, which leads to that irregular sort of debt service that you mentioned. And we're solving for a level debt service payment. So you can see the total debt service on an annual basis for those first 5 years will be very similar. And then after that 5-year period, once that third component drops out, those last 5 will be on a level basis as well, just a little bit lower than those first 5 years.
Well, that was really my question because it looked like it dropped quite a bit and then accelerated again to the last years. So that was a question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Excuse me. I hear a motion to approve the contract with First National Bank of Pennsylvania.
So move.
A motion from Commissioner Ingram.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rose. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the contract with First National Bank of Pennsylvania, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-2. Okay. The enterprise vehicle lease resolution.
So as we reviewed the last time, this is for 17 vehicles, 15 for the sheriff's office, 2 for environmental health. And this resolution would satisfy what the LGC is looking for and authorize the county to move forward with the leases that were budgeted this year.
Any questions? Mr. Plackett?
Yeah, what's the advantage of this versus county-owned vehicles and contracting locally for maintenance?
I'll defer that one to you, Mr. Whitaker.
Well, I'll say that my direction was set by the budget when I came in to this position, and that budget called for this approach with leasing these vehicles. We had a quote at the time. We knew what that dollar amount roughly was then, and our holdup with that was really the requirement of the LGC's approval, given that we're on the unit assistance list. So I have felt that my directive was to proceed in this direction, although we have had some discussion about long-term, we may want to look at different options.
I think, Commissioner Claggett, that some board members have made comments during the meeting, and maybe privately, I don't know, that this is what you brought up is something the county needs to look at seriously, whether we were better off leasing or owning. But as of yet, I think that's kind of a long process, getting all those numbers together and seeing which is the most beneficial, which way to go, lease or buy. So,
Mr. Chairman.
yes.
I think I did bring it up last meeting, concerning the vehicles. I know these were we had already dealt with this back in the previous budget. But as we're sitting this budget calendar we voted on tonight, I do want us to take a long look at what we can do to cut down on the amount that we do have. And with that being said, look at if it would be cheaper to lease, or would it be cheaper to have a contractor to perform the work? I don't know. I think that's going to be something that you're also going to have to look at as far as, who we have in the county. Would they be wanting to take on that amount of work? I have no clue. But I think we do need to look at the amount that we do have I think that we can make some serious cuts in those because I do feel like, we're going to face some increases this year on health insurance. And I think we need to make some cuts where we can make them.
And when you say look at the amount we do have, you mean the number of vehicles, right?
Yes, sir. The amount that we do have, and then, look at the agencies that we have,
Mhm.
from Health Department, DSS, Home Health, whoever. Look at the amount of vehicles that are assigned there and see where we can cut down. I mean, if we kept, just in my opinion, if we had for better words, fleet of vehicles, that were stationary at one location, and these vehicles were needed to be utilized throughout the day to conduct county business. Well, they can come get one, check it out, have a logbook ledger in the car, put your mileage down when you leave and mileage when you come back. I just feel like just by what I'm seeing or what I have observed, we can make some cuts somewhere. And, with that being said, if we're going to make some cuts somewhere on some of these vehicles, take the best of the best and kind of work them through the cycle. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Yes.
couple questions for Scott. Scott, assuming you get the green light to go ahead and order the leased vehicles next month, what type of lead period are you looking at before you can expect the vehicles to be delivered?
I'll have to get back with you on that because I know I'm going to call it a delay because our requirement to wait on the LGC. I'm not sure where that leaves us in terms of what inventory is available through Enterprise. So I'll need to check on that.
All right. The second question is, say in the case of the sheriff's department, does the lease amount include the upfit for the sheriff's vehicles, or is that something that comes out of his budget?
I am pretty certain that is a separate line item that has been budgeted for, but it is in his budget, but it is completely separate. All upfit.
Okay. Okay, so realistically, it's probably going to be, after the end of this budget year before we actually have any expense. So is that money that we've got allocated for lease vehicles just going to roll back into fund balance?
It should, right?
And then you'll have to rebudget it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's a good thing. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm going to have to call on a deputy clerk. Have I received a motion concerning this yet? I've kind of lost my train of thought. We don't? Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve the enterprise vehicle lease resolution?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Totten. Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-2. All right, the Southern Health Partners contract, Mr. Whitaker.
This is the same contract that was in your agenda at the last meeting that we discussed. They show a 4% increase for the calendar year, and the contract is attached. And that increase does equate to $9,453 per year. And we had a question last time about would the contractor consider switching that from a calendar year to a fiscal year to match ours. And I know there's been some conversation about that, but I don't have an answer for that part yet. I'll have to get back with you.
Okay. If they would, this wouldn't be a issue if they could work with us on that. We would know that amount during budget time. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Manager, is this 9,000? Can't remember what it said that a while ago, 9,400, whatever. Is half of that this year's budget and the other half for next year?
My understanding that is for the 6 months. So that's for the calendar year.
So that's January 1 through June the 30th. What that?
And am I looking at that correctly? Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
And just from my observation on this, Southern Health Partners, their calendar year is actually, I'm thinking, from January to January, where I think our fiscal is July to
Right.
July.
Yeah.
So I think this is where the difference in that 9,000, I think we'll be paying half now and half would be our fiscal year to get that done.
Any other questions? All right, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment.
So move.
Have a motion from Commissioner Ingram,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, Charters of Freedom Project.
So we introduced this project to you several months ago, and it was presented as to what it is, what it would look like here. And at the time, the board was receptive to it. Mr. Jeff Morris, that's about to speak with you, representing the Foundation Forward, actually went to Yanceyville and had a similar presentation, and I'll let you pick it up from there.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for allowing me to present this again. Look forward to working with you all. After we met, I guess, a couple of months back, we made a presentation to this town council of Yanceyville because it's going to be their property that the setting is going to be located on. They unanimously approved use of their property for the setting. The point we are at now is I presented to your county manager a letter of intent and also addendum to that letter of intent. You have it in your packet. Basically, it's really a non-binding agreement. It just tells you what to expect from us, our organization, Foundation Forward. As I told the county manager, we will come in and build the Charters of Freedom, the 7 pedestals and all that goes with it. County and or the city or any additional group within the county, if they want to add additional items to the project, we have no objections. Of course, that would be at the expense of those additional items to the county or city or organization. If you approve tonight, having your chairperson sign this memorandum of understanding or letter of intent, and we're meeting, I think, this coming Wednesday at 10:30 to meet with your committee, your chairman, the town manager. We're going to walk the site and determine on your end what additional things you'd like to add to the Charters of Freedom, to what we present, such as, do you want sidewalk added to it? Do you want a concrete apron? Do you want lighting? Do you want trees? Do you want additional landscaping? These are all options that you will have to propose at, of course, your expense. If later on, after you determine what you want and you look at the budget and say, no, we just can't do this, it doesn't stop us from still building the Charters of Freedom. And what we'll end up having is the Charters of Freedom with grass surrounding it, just its natural location. That's happened in several other counties. We went into the project, they wanted some accessories, they wanted a concrete apron, they wanted some additional lighting, and that was their intent. But later on, they realized they didn't want it. It didn't stop us. We still said, we're still willing to give you the gift. But if you elect not to do these additional things, it won't stop us. And so there's really not a financial commitment on your end as to those ancillary issues. If you decide later on, before it gets to that point to construct, you want to back out, it doesn't prevent us unless you totally say, hey, we don't want the Charter of Freedom. We decided not to even do it. That, again, is your option. Again, our goal is to provide this gift to the people of Caswell County.
And
Need to add,
Mr.
is that pretty much what we went over?
It is, and Mr. Morris, I just put up on the screen a quick example of the
Thank you.
type of, what these projects look like other than, this could be brick, for instance, instead of marble. But I wanted to show the location, Mr. Morris, if you'll look up on the screen. So to get everyone acclimated, here's Yanceyville's municipal building, their parking lot. Current memorial site. And so I believe where you're proposing, and we're meeting Wednesday to talk more about this, but is this fair where my mouse is pretty much there?
Yes, sir. That's exactly the location we have chosen, or that we have recommended to it to be located.
So can you tell the board a little bit about, in relation to that location, have there been any preliminary conversations with the town of Yanceyville about a short sidewalk from here to the monument, or lighting, or any other items that you would call additional at this point?
No, sir, not anything specific. When we first came out here to look at the site, we met with this town manager and a gentleman who works a lot with the veterans groups. His name is Fred.
Fred Smith, Mr. Smith.
Smith. I apologize for forgetting his last name. Yeah, and we kind of walked the site, and everyone was very positive about the potentials, but no one had specifically mentioned what additional ancillary issues that would complement the actual charters that we plan to build.
So what you have in your packet is a proposed letter of intent that specifies as the municipal partners in that Caswell County and the town of Yanceyville. And our attorney has reviewed this closely, and he'd be glad to share more.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I had a very productive conversation with Mr. Morse prior to the meeting. And I would just advise the board in moving forward, if you choose to move forward with this project, to classify the letter of intent as non-binding. And the reason being, there is language in the letter of intent that states that the county of Caswell will be responsible for certain landscaping, site prep, and ADA compliance. And until those fees are outlined, until you know how much the county is going to need to spend, it may be a good idea just to classify this as a non-binding letter of intent.
Okay. And we concur with that. If I may make one brief comment, sir. Basically, what this letter of intent allows us to do is start moving forward. The next thing that would happen, I meet with your staff. Following that, we have a pre-construction meeting. We bring our construction crew in to meet with your committee that's overseeing this project. And at any point in time, there's changes. Any change can happen. It's not set in concrete, as they say.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. We're really excited about you coming to Caswell County. We really are.
Thank you, sir.
What material are the pillars constructed of?
Yes, sir. It has a concrete core.
Okay.
And then in this particular setting, we'll be using brick.
Okay.
And you all even select the color brick you'd like to propose. Our future settings, we're going to a precast process, but for this county and all other counties that we've done, it's brick. Now you can upgrade some areas, like the picture you showed earlier. That's the one at the Reagan Library in California. That's granite, and that's much more expensive. We provide the brick as our gift, but if you want to upgrade, you can go to a granite facade, but it's very, very expensive.
Okay, so will you provide a foundation for the brick, or is that something we provide?
No, we build the concrete core. We build the footing. We construct the footing,
okay.
Pour the concrete. Then we pour the pillar. It's all concrete. And then once that is poured and solidified, we come back with a brick mason and surround the concrete core with brick. And then we have a capstone that goes on top of the setting that houses the chamber and the documents. As you can see in this picture, how that is placed.
Mr. Morris, I've seen some pictures of that foundation, and it is substantial, but is it on the website so that I could show them? Is there a place, for instance, here is a brick variant that I think would be more similar. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But somewhere I have seen the actual footings and diagrams of what that looks like. Is that on the site anywhere?
No, sir. I think what you were referring to is when we showed the video, it showed the construction, how, it's 3.5 feet deep. There's, what do you call, rebar put in, and it's all formed and with footings and forms, and then it's poured. So it's a very solid, what is said in the document, our chairman always referred to, it'll last 300 years, in essence. Give you an example with the one we built in Marshall that had all the flooding as a result of hurricane. They had no structural damage to their setting. We had to replace the frames and some of the glass, but we don't put glass in anymore. We found out glass is too obstructive in keeping dirt and condensation inside. So we're much more successful by allowing the chambers to be open and expose the plates.
Thank you.
One last question that might help them process wise. If you look on the screen, your process is initial engagement. That's when you came this summer, early fall, and presented. This is the letter of intent. Can you tell them a little bit about who you would want on a steering committee or how that would be put together?
Sure. The county would appoint whoever is the person, what they refer to in the LOI is the person of contact. The key person that would be the one we would communicate with, and making sure that everything is done in accordance with your wishes. I'll be the point of contact for Foundation Forward, and I will continue to communicate with the committee. Now, what cities and counties do is they'll have a person of contact, but they'll also have a steering committee engaged with citizen participation and or the public works director or the engineer, someone, of course, that has some good, strong background in construction and provide recommendations. But the main thing in communicating is my job is to communicate with your staff all at every step to make sure there's no challenges or no misunderstandings. We have had in the past with any construction project challenges that come up. I'll give you an example of most recent one in Columbus. You are to provide us a graded site, or not a graded, as level a site as possible. So what we found in Columbus County, when they showed us a level site, once we got the grass cleared out, it wasn't as level. And when they started digging the footings, there was a variation of depth from one end to the other, and it was kind of like this. So what we ended up doing on the site with our crew and working with their engineers, we leveled it so that the pour would be level. So you get little small things like that come up during construction. But again, we work with your staff and get those resolved.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Is there a cost to the county initially?
No, sir. No. The only cost, well, as you just mentioned earlier, what was the reference to the
Well, for instance, with that site, if ultimately it was decided that a small connecting sidewalk would be needed or lighting or some additional
that would be the
landscaping,
responsibility of the,
those type things would require extra cost.
and we'll have a lot of that worked out Wednesday as to, once we get with your staff and get your feel of what you want to add and you find out a cost to it. And there is also my understanding, and I'm not putting words into anyone else's mouth, but I think there's some groups out there that are willing to help fund those outside costs. Not making any guarantees, but we'll be discussing that as well. But again, at the very end, if it's something too expensive, you don't do it. We'll just build the setting itself, and it will be surrounded by a grass strip.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve a non-binding letter of intent?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Smith. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We
Thank
look
you.
forward to working with the county on this great project.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, item 20, we have two openings on the planning board. Mr. Whitaker.
So what you have in your packet is the current planning board roster. I included an excerpt from the UDO that gives more direction about the planning board members. You also have the Citizen Advisory Board policy and Scott Oakley's application. He'd be a returning member, and Jack Wren's application, and he would be a new member.
Who is Jacob? Jacob.
Jacob Wren, I'm sorry.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to appoint both to the planning board.
I have a motion to appoint Scott Oakley and Jacob Wren to the planning board. Motion made by Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second by Commissioner Claggett. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries for Mr. Oakley and Mr. Wren to now serve on the planning board. The opioid advisory committee, we have Tim, is that McGrath? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, Dr. Tim McGrath.
Okay, okay.
And if you'll remember when Deputy Manager Williamson brought the opioid advisory committee to you recently, really to formalize what had already been in motion. There was a roster on there, and one of those positions actually mentioned Dr. McGrath, and he has in turn submitted an application. And if you look at the roster, he would be filling that slot that you see here, the behavioral substance abuse health provider that is now vacant.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Make the motion to appoint Tim McGrath.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're down to reports and updates. Start with you, Mr. Whitaker.
A few things. The ice rink was mentioned earlier. Flyer up on the screen, exciting project. A lot of folks came together to make this happen. That was actually installed, or the core part of it, today. And what we're proposing this year is 3 weekends, so Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays with this ice skating rink. And it starts with the tree lighting this Friday. And it's Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And those dates are December the 6th and 7th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So that would end the week of Christmas. Thanks for all involved in making that happen for our citizens. Also, I mentioned earlier that the LGC application was submitted today. That was a lot of work to get that prepped, and thank you to staff, particularly our finance department, for pulling that together along with our attorneys and financial consultant. And I have learned today that our safety manual revisions are almost done. There's been a subcommittee of the revised safety committee that you appointed this summer, and that will be coming before the board in the near future, thanks to that committee also. And another thing that's kind of happening behind the scenes is staff has had a couple of meetings with a rep working through PTRC, and this is related to potential EDA grants, so the Economic Development Administration grants. And we're just looking at funding opportunities to, in particular, strengthen disaster readiness and support project development. We've got about 3 ideas that we're talking about to see how they might fit, and glad to have that assistance from PTRC. And if anything comes of that process that needs to come before you, look forward to bringing you something for consideration. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. At your last meeting, we had a brief discussion about the Caswell County Golden Leaf grant application for funding out at the Pelham Industrial Park. And I reached out to David Ross with Dewberry, and I was able to get a name of the applicant that was preparing the grant for the Golden Leaf grant application. And her name was Joyce French. Had a discussion with her, and she is no longer available to complete the grant application process. But I did receive a referral from her and David Ross with Dewberry, and I'll be reaching out to Skip Green with Skip Green and Associates, who we believe would be eager to complete the grant application on behalf of the county. So I'll continue to work with the county manager to pursue that option so that the county can receive that funding. And also, I continue to review contracts on behalf of the county. The most recent contract is the billing services agreement with between EMS management and consultants in the county. And I received that contract proposal last week, and I should have that finalized by the end of the week and forwarded to the county manager. And I'll have more updates in the closed session. Thank you.
Commissioner comments and questions. Commissioner Holt?
None.
Mr. Totten? Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. Scott, according to my notes, we had targeted the end of November to have the fiscal year 24 complete. Can you give me an update as to where we stand on completing the financial reports?
Yes, my last report that I had last week was good news that the draft financial statements had been received. So that was the most positive thing I've heard in a long time. But I'll ask, has Melissa left? So do you have an update further? My update is your update. Okay, yeah, so the draft financial statements are here. So I don't know how close we are to that being finalized, but that's as close as we've been.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Rose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Some good news I have seen here in the last week. The high-speed internet service seems to be picking up on 86, the installation. A lot of side roads, excuse me, are being picked up, and I'm glad to see that happening. One other thing I will comment on, and this is an event that's going to be held December the 20th, 2025 from 2 to 5 p.m. It's Pelham Winterfest. This is free. It's a free community event. It is put on, they're going to actually have, let's see what all it's got on here. Give me 1 second. It's a free community event that's being put on. Spoke with the lady the other night, and they're going to be giving away pajamas, book giveaway, hats, gloves for the kids, food giveaway, collecting toys, and a lot of stuff for the family and the kids to do. Mr. Thornton and everybody over there, they always put on a great event. And I just, hope anybody can come out and support them. We'll do. I also will forward this to you, Mr. Manager, if you can put it on the county website to kind of give them some publicity to help them out. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Oh, one last thing. Just thank the board for the vote of confidence as Vice Chair. I appreciate it, and thank y'all.
Mr. Ingram?
No,
Mr. Flagg?
I don't have anything.
Couple of things, and I know I mentioned this at our last meeting and somebody mentioned it tonight. I don't know who it was. Filing period open today at noon for some state, federal, and local offices. If you are interested in seeking those, feel free to sign up, as long as you got your filing fee for whatever office it is. I think it ranges from commissioners $85 on up, and it goes on up considerably. Depends on what office you want. But they will be open, well, filing period runs through the 19th of this month. And I'll piggyback on what Commissioner Rose said. I appreciate the board's vote. And for me to continue as chair, I will try not to disappoint you, but so much. You know, every day is different. Okay. Upcoming events. December the 3rd, Senior Center Christmas Breakfast and Bake Sale. December the 5th, the tree lighting and Christmas Festival here in town. December the 6th, the parade here in town, Christmas parade. Our next meeting will be December the 15th at 6:30 right here. On the 16th, the Board of Adjustment will meet. 17th, the Years of Service Award, gonna be at the Senior Center this time? Yes. Okay, okay. RSVP by 5 o'clock tomorrow to Crystal Stoffer if you plan on attending. December the 23rd, offices will be closed as they will be the 24th, 25th, and 26th. They will close at noon on the 23rd, excuse me. And offices will be closed January the 1st. Backing up Christmas parade. Deputy manager contacted me this morning and want to know if any of us needed a vehicle if we were planning on participating in the parade on Saturday. I told her I didn't think so. If I'm wrong, y'all get with her and she'll get something lined up.
I did get you guys registered, so if you change your mind, I'm sure it's not a big deal if, if we need to put a vehicle in, but we just need for you to let us know if you do want a vehicle.
Thank you. Okay, closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege provided under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So move.
Motion from Commissioner Claggett.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. We now sit in closed session.